Hello, my dear friends. Today I'm talking about hard aspects between Venus and Uranus in natal chart. Uranus is a planet associated with the revolution, lighting fast change, and quirky individuality. One outcome is that the Venusian need for intimacy gets blasted out of the water. This combination reveals a need for space and sporadic detachment in the realm of intimate relationships. If Uranian contact with the planet of love creates a need for space, what better way to accomplish than by marrying someone from a different culture? People with Venus-Uranus have the comfort of companionship without too much closeness, a kind of virtual intimacy that allows them to be in relations but without the emotional identification that is part and parcel of intimate bonds. This kind of aspect in natal charts is also appropriate for virtual relationships, especially this time when distance is meaning something more than to be far away of somebody. And don't forget that the era of metaverse is coming. This means that the distance between people will increase. I mean the distance, physical distance, but virtual distance will be closer. And Uranian nature of this metaverse will grow up in time. If we look to famous people, celebrities and public figures in international unions, as well as Venus-Uranus pairing, in which space was creating in other ways, by vast difference in age, for example, or by disparities in education or class. A very famous example of Venus-Uranus detachment occurred in the chart of Katharine Hepburn, who had Venus in Aries squaring Uranus in Capricorn. You see the chart of Hepburn, of Katharine. Although married briefly at the beginning of her career, she rarely lived with her husband. The union quickly dissolved and Hepburn's career took off. The love of her life was Spencer Tracy, an actor with whom she made 9 films and shared a 27 years relationship that was never been conventional. When we are talking about Spencer Tracy, the actor was married and the church forbid divorce. However, even if Tracy had divorced his wife, he and Hepburn never could have tied the knot. If they had, the marriage probably wouldn't have lasted. It would have been too close. There would have been no space for each other. Indeed, the need of emotional escape hatch is a classic manifestation of squaring Venus and Uranus. It is the back door that permits a speedy exit and prevents the relationship form becoming too claustrophobic for the free-spirited Uranian soul. Another space-making mechanism for Hepburn was her career. Acting was the real love of her life. It provided both distraction and isolation from the emotional enlightenments of intimate human relations. Hard aspects between Venus and Uranus often indicate a detachment from intense emotional, generally speaking. In Katharine Hepburn's case, the template of Uranian detachment was set in adolescence, when her older brother Tom hanged himself. Katharine was the first to find him. This event was part of a tragic family history. Hepburn's maternal grandfather and later 2 uncles on her father's side also committed suicide. In her memoir, Hepburn described the family's reaction to her brother's death. This detachment from emotional part of life, it's kind of protection for Hepburn. She was feeling more safe like this. When we are talking about Princess Diana, someone always crying out for intimacy and throwing quite a few tantrums when Prince Charles made an open talk about Camilla. Diana's well-published eating disorders were further evidence that those very personal Cancerian needs were not being met. Right at the center of her chart is Venus and Taurus, at the focal point of a T-square, in the 5th house of romance, no less, with Uranus in Leo opposite the moon. Distance was built into her intimate relationships from the beginning. It's not surprised that fate paired her with a man 12 years older and worlds apart in education. Diana has considerable needs for space that run counter to the earning of her Cancer sun. In the first year of her marriage, Diana did not own this facet of her being, choosing instead to project her needs for independence onto others. Years later, when she was able to form a significant bond, it wasn't with a fellow Brit or even a Westerner, but with someone from a culture profoundly different. A Middle East-born Dodi Fayed. In him, Diana had finally found the safe intimacy she'd been seeking all her life. Even before she achieved this, her Cancer sun was not forgotten. When I'm talking about hard aspects, especially I'm talking about square and opposition. Don't think that someone with hard aspects between Venus and Uranus doesn't have personal feelings. That is not the case. It's about a kind of trauma that these people need to cover up. One of the gifts of Venus-Uranus aspect is the ability to take a step back and feel those intense emotions as is from a distance. We must be aware the emotional detachment that can result from Venus-Uranus can be used as a weapon when handled in the wrong way. Individuals who are utterly detached from their emotions can become rather contemptuous of people still struggling to get their own impulses and feelings under control. The extreme detachment that can result from Venus-Uranus aspect can be off-putting for those on the receiving end and ultimately dehumanizing for the owner. Perhaps the optimal expression of this planetary combination is a serene detachment from one's emotional impulses, linked with compassion for those who have not yet mastered their own. So, the best is to look in your natal chart and observe if you have a hard aspect between Venus and Uranus. If you have it, please comment below. I'm waiting also your questions about this. Until next time, I wish you all the best. Bye bye.